Hi there, my name's Jim, this is my shed and you're welcome to it. Welcome back to my shed. It's been a while, hasn't it? So much for my forlorn hope about getting a video out in the middle of August, but I could not get motivated during the summer to get to come out here and get stuff done. Had a lovely time with the kids and all that, and a couple of weeks all inclusive in Cos. Although I did at one point jump in the sea with my phone in my pocket, and I think that may be the cause of the varying sound quality. So if the volume's going up and down, I'll try and do something in the edit, but it could be something I've done. As I say, seawater in the phone probably didn't help it very much, so I might need a new phone. But hopefully not. As I say, I'll try and do something about it in the edit, but if it makes certain bits of this inaudible, I do apologise. I'll do my best to rectify the situation soon. Yeah, I'm not going to rub it on too much. I must say it's good to be back and getting stuff done in here once I managed to get my motivation up again, and yeah, see the progress made getting the engine in the hole. So I'll just say let's crack on. And here we are. Thanks very much to Spooks Motorsport for supplying me with the correct gearbox mount, and as you can see, very pleased, TU5BE, so it's the right one and everything goes in, lines up. In case you're wondering, I'm using 205 diesel drive shafts because the diesel's got the BE gearbox, and it's got the same hubs. It's got the smaller non-GTI splines and hubs, so these drive shafts will go straight in. And very lucky find on eBay, a pair of brand new, like really brand new, not reconditioned, about 140 quid for a pair of shafts. Couldn't believe it. We'll find out what quality they are, but there you go. So next step, let's get that mocked up in the car. Okay, so engine and gearbox moved in place, sat on a board which is sat on the bottom of the subframe, so that's setting the sump and the bottom of the gearbox level. It's all chocked up so it's sitting at the right angle. Now, as I said, I'm using 205 diesel drive shafts, so they have obviously got the right size splines for the B gearbox and they fit in the hubs, as I said earlier, but I couldn't be certain that the lengths were going to be right for the TU engine on the gearbox, because I also don't know exactly where the gearbox sits in the 205 diesel, although you are somewhat limited by this cutout in the subframe, so you're sort of limited to this area. So I've mocked it up with about 10mm gap all around that, because I'm going to use these polyurethane inserts as engine mount, so it's not going to move very much. So yeah, but even with that, with this big gearbox and the gap, the engine is actually quite a lot further forward than my other Alleybock engine was, because that was on an MA gearbox and that could sit much further back. But it is where it is, so that's where it's going to have to sit. So in order to determine the right place, the drive shafts, I just measured the length of the drive shafts, fully plunged the inner joint so that the drive shaft was as short as possible, measured the length, mocked this up in place, and then measured from here to the hub face on that side and here to the hub face on that side, and got the difference between the drive shaft lengths and that, so the amount of plunge will be the same on either side, and it came out pretty much spot on. So with this engine mount lining up with this hole, so this part here lines up with that hole pretty much exactly, so I can just use the standard engine mount there. I've actually shortened that, it needed to be half an inch shorter than standard, so I've done that off camera, so that's all done. And so I'm moving on now to, I'm going to do the gearbox mount first, which is actually quite simple because I've got my mount from my original setup, which is going to sit like that, and as you can see, it's directly over the main mounting holes for the gearbox. So all I need to do is plate on the bottom, some vertical plates coming up straight through here. So next job. So that's gearbox mount done, the lower engine mount in place, and so now I've just got to do the front engine mount. Now initially I was planning to go as per the original, so bolt onto the head and go to the mount, but you can see here the engine is, I have to say, quite a lot further forward in the engine bay. If I can just, no, wrong way, if I zoom out, it's quite a lot further forward than I would have liked. It's a lot further forward than the old engine was. You can see here I'm going to have to move the header tank because it's obviously going to go through the cam belt. It's a bit annoying, but to get it any further back than that, I'd have to lean the engine back, which is going to start compromising the oil drains, as I spoke about before, or do some serious surgery to the subframe because there is no room for this to go further back. I mean, on the rack as well, I mean, just the work required to get it any further back is going to be far too much. So as much as I dislike it, I'm just going to have to stick with it. So that means this engine mount. Now, helpfully, although these points are now really offset to here, so you can see it would be like a, you know, really angled mount. Luckily, there are these mounting points on the block which are more or less in line with that. So I'll be able to do I'll do a nice chunky plate that bolts onto these three, piece of tube across the top, going to here with the bush. So it'll be quite a simple mount. So just be a nice chunky bit of tube, alley tube across here. I'll have to judge it so it misses, won't foul with the inlet manifold, but there's nothing else to go here. So manifold will just be coming up. Oh, sorry, manifold will just be coming up. So as I say, nice chunky plate, bolt on there, probably come up here a little bit for triangulation, and then a piece of tube across the top, going to the the bush over here. So next job. So that's the first bit. Got the tube on with the bush on. Now I just need to make the plate. Sorry for being upside down. Make the plate, the bolts on down here, and we'll come up to somewhere around here. So we'll come triangulate up to there. So next bit. before I finish this off too much, I just thought I'd show you some detail on this engine mount. So this is obviously the plate that bolts onto the engine. Unfortunately, the 3 holes I'm using on the block for mounting the engine obviously weren't used wherever this engine came from. So this one is an M12 thread. These 2, I can't even be sure if there's a thread in the hole at all, it's such a mess, but I think I will helicoil them down to 10mm, so I'll keep those 10. So I use the existing M12, and when the block's off I'll have to drill and helicoil those 2 holes out to take M10s. But 10s go in the hole, but there's no thread. It's not big enough for 12, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, I'll sort that out. So yes, this plate bolts on the engine. This plate, obviously, this is where the bush that goes on the engine mount on the body, and then this just slides in. That will basically sit like that. I did it like this so that I could get full, as strong as I could on this tube, not just welding on the edge of the tube so it will distort. So all the way through, welded both sides, and then this part just hanging out for support. So I'll radius that hole before I weld it, because I don't want to leave a sharp edge in there. And this back edge, I will weld it all together and then I'll cut that off at the end. So I'll see exactly how much I need for my engine mount. So yeah, just clean all this up, get ready for welding. So finish off the profile nicely, and so clean it up, and then I'll put it in place in the car, tack it, and then take it off and weld it fully. I'll see you when that's done. And that's it, engine mounts in, engine hanging on them. Looking at this one, I think I would have I'd do it differently if I did it again. This top tube could angle down towards there, but I'm not making it again for want of that. So I think while the engine's in like that, I will start on the gear linkage. So next tomorrow, won't be tomorrow, next video I will get the seat in, mock up the driving position because I've got the steering wheel in, put the seat in place, and then start figuring out the gear linkage. So that'll be fun, quite looking forward to that. Bit of work, but yeah, should be good. So there you go. So there you go, engine in a hole. Well, milestone, eh? As I said just now, I'm going to do the gear linkage next. So that'll be the next job, and that means that once I'm working on the engine, I'll be able to work on the interior as well, because all the stuff will be done for the interior. So once the gear sticks in and the little side pod made up and all that, I'll be able to get on with the interior. So while I'm waiting for bits for the engine and stuff like that, I'll have stuff to get on with. I've had a look at the dash. It looks, not that I've ever done anything like this before, but it looks fairly straightforward, it looks fairly doable. I'm going to strip all the vinyl off the dash, do the mods, and then rewrap it afterwards. And as I say, I've not done any of that before, but got to give it a go, haven't you? I think normal service be resumed, a couple of weeks, I'll have some more stuff, I'll have the next video out. I reckon I'm going to do my best to get back on track, and I guess not going to rub it on today, keep it short and sweet. So I shall just say cheers, good health, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.